Isn't it nice to see the old intro again? At least a lot
It's
nicer than seeing the
different. It feels like coming home.
It really does.
Heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
Yeah. Look at the smiles on our faces, people. Look at the smiles on our faces. You know why we're smiling? Because we no longer have to cover the 2009 remake of V. We would never have to watch it again. We'll never have to talk about it again. I don't think. I doubt it. And yeah, that's just such a nice feeling. We heard so much. We actually took some time off. We had to take time away because we had to recover from watching that series. But now we're coming back with something fun and exciting. In fact, I did this. We had this plan for a while to do something like this. And my plan initially was to do it after we'd done everything. But because Lego was such a trooper, I decided we're going to put Independence Day on the schedule, on the docket right now to clear our, whatever, what's that, freshen the palate, clean the palate, whatever, before we move on to anything else.
It's the mint after you've had a big dinner.
That's what it is. It is the mint, and this is much fresher mint than anything we've had recently. So I am PLD, and that's Lego. We are here. We are Review. This is our first episode of Review Adjacent, I'm calling it. It's kind of going to be the same feed, same podcast in a way, but it's kind of like a sub-podcast within the podcast realm. That makes sense. I'm sure it does. We are going to be talking about the great 1996 fun alien invasion movie, Independence Day. Now, what is Review Adjacent? If you haven't seen us before, if you just saw Independence Day, you're like, I like this movie. We are a show that has been delving into the sci-fi franchise V from 1983 to 1985. Kenneth Johnson did the original miniseries in 1983. There was a follow-up miniseries and a weekly series. A great alien invasion story, social commentary galore. It's just a wonderfully classic 1980s sci-fi miniseries, and the weekly series is something else. And you can go back and watch our episodes on that. We did also cover the aforementioned 2009 reboot, which is less we talk about, the better. But we decided that in addition to the shows, we are going to do the Big Finish UK audio productions that have recently come out this year. In fact, the next part is due in August, I believe.
It's topical.
It is. It's almost like it's topical. It's a good point. We are going to cover the books and the comics and everything else that came into it. We're going to do the entire franchise, be a complete overrun of the entire thing. But we also wanted to do this kind of show, which is what I said called Adjacent, which is we're going to take up, films that are either inspired by V or perhaps inspired V or are related to V in some way. That could probably more the 80s V. Like, for example, we're doing Independence Day today. Some future episodes we've already talked about doing our Watchers 1, which stars, Watchers, which features Michael Ironside, who was in the final battle and the weekly series, and Watchers 2, which happened to unrelatedly star Mark Singer from the V saga. So those are the kind of things we are going to try to do every once in a while. A lot of fun times to be had by that. I think they might delve into some other things. I think we should probably do maybe at least a pilot of the Incredible Hulk series that Kenneth Johnson did before. Maybe at least not commit to the whole series, but at least do the pilot.
Is that the one with Lou Ferrigno?
That is Lou Ferrigno and Bill Bixby.
Oh,
there you go. Maybe you would like that. Who knows? I'm not going to commit a whole series, but maybe we'll do something with that since Kenneth Johnson was involved with that. Best known for. But yeah, so I am PLD. I had a great time this weekend. I did go up to a camp. And I got to be outside, and I'm refreshed. I had a few adult beverages, and now I'm ready to go. Lego, how have you been?
I went to Pennsylvania, got lost, and ended up in Centralia. So who knows if even this is real? This could all be my hellscape. Not a joke. That happened.
I'm so sorry for you getting lost. I got lost in Connecticut once, and that was really bad. I hated Connecticut. The roadways in Connecticut are always they're all one way streets almost. It was like you couldn't even turn around really if you wanted. I had a hell of a time getting out of there. My wife has said she's never going back to Connecticut ever again.
Are you familiar with Centralia?
I am not familiar with Centralia.
Oh, okay. It's the town that Silent Hill is inspired
by.
Fire.
I am familiar with it. I do know that. I didn't remember the name, but now that you bring that up, yes, now I do. Oh, that is scary.
Got
That is,
lost and ended up there. And that
oh,
is the most me story ever.
that is like, wow. Oh,
It's not as bad as you think. It's quite
no,
pretty. The road
is
is
it?
red. That's a little weird.
That's a little creepy. A little creepy given, yeah. Oh,
And I saw
okay.
the church, couldn't figure out how to get there.
You
Seemed
saw
like a
from a distance.
straight drive, but then it started curving, and then I was driving and driving and driving, and I had this note. I feel like I should have ran out of road by now. Uh,
So you got lost.
uh-huh.
You saw the church and you decided, like, I'm not gonna get unlost. I'm gonna go to this church first, and then I'll get
And then
unlost.
I got more lost.
And you got more lost doing it.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And then you finally gave up and said, I gotta go. I gotta go.
Well, I did have other things to do.
Okay. That's
I
fair.
went off-roading. Very fun.
Oh, okay.
Also, side note, doggy seatbelts, very important.
Yes. Oh, you took your doggy with you?
I did.
Oh, you like off-roading?
I do. I have a Jeep. I love to go off-roading.
Nice.
My dog doesn't like that. It was her first time, and she said, "No, thank you, human."
This is first and last time. So
Yes.
fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, well, why don't we just get right into what we're here for? It is the 4th of July this week. So, in honor of 4th of July, this episode is actually going to come out on the 4th of July, on Independence Day itself. Lego, why don't you do the honors? And you like to do things when you review movies, you told me. And so I'm going to let you open it up with this.
Yeah, I want to do this little brief, quick rundown. Directed by Roland Emmerich, was released July 3rd, 1996. It's written by Emmerich and his typical writing partner, Dean Devlin. And then we have a whole bunch of other information that's not as important. But what is important is, guys, we got a VHS description. It was originally released, the film was produced by 20th Century Fox and released by their branch of their home distribution, which is Fox Home Distribution. And it reads, one of the biggest box office hits of all time delivers the ultimate encounter when mysterious and powerful aliens launch an all-out invasion against the human race. The spectacle begins when a mass of spaceships appear in Earth's skies, but wonder turns to terror as the ships blast destructive beams of fire down on cities all over the planet. Now, the world's only hope lies with a determined band of survivors uniting for one last strike against the invaders before it's the end of mankind.
That was wonderful.
Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.
Yes.
Or as this, I was listening to a podcast, and this one guy couldn't remember the name of this movie and was trying to see if his co-host could, and he said, that Judd Hirsch End of the World movie? Which is the worst.
That is definitely a choice to describe Independence Day. It is
All
accurate.
I remember was Judd Hirsch End of the World.
It is absolutely accurate. But yes, it's not necessarily the way I would accept it. Jeff Goldblum, Will Smith, Bill Pullman, even. Like, I don't think my go-to would have been Judd Hirsch.
That guy from Taxi was in that alien movie. Things blew up.
Well, yeah. Let's see. This is a movie that was you said box office, biggest box office of all time. It's a little bit of an exaggeration, but it was a pretty big hit. Made about $817 million.
One of the biggest box office hits, it said. But most importantly, it was the highest grossing film of 1996 domestically and worldwide.
Okay, well, there you go. They could said that specifically. It would have been absolutely accurate then.
I mean, this is back in 1996 when I think only one movie had ever crossed, or no, Titanic's 97, isn't it?
Titanic is 97.
Okay, no movie had ever crossed $1 billion, and this movie
was Titanic the first. I know Star Wars did eventually get there. I think the re-release got them back over the top.
Okay, but that doesn't count.
Oh, it counts. Oh, it counts. It absolutely counts, especially considering like you're talking about inflation and everything else. Like $1977 versus $1996. Come on now, that's gotta
If you look
count.
at tickets sold, we'll come back to it.
Either way, it was definitely a
Look this
massive
up on my phone. I don't know if the numbers will pop up. I don't know how good their website is. It looks pretty archaic.
It probably is.
And I can't trust Box Office Mojo anymore since IMDb bought it out and ruined it.
Ruined it. Absolutely ruined it. I remember loving that site. I went back. I didn't know it had gotten bought out. I went back one day and I went, "What is this? What happened?" I was so distraught. But
Terrible.
it is. So this film, while you're looking at those numbers, I will say we picked this film as a review adjacent for pretty obvious reasons. It's an alien invasion film, just like V was an alien invasion. Unlike V had the big social commentary, this was trying to be much more of a popcorn-fueled, fun action blaster kind of thing. They had some, I mean, Jeff Goldblum tried to be Earth conscience, and that kind of thing. But overall, it was definitely much more of a fun popcorn movie than like V was trying.
I will say Roland Emmerich definitely an environmentalist.
Yes,
that is very clear in his filmography.
Absolutely. Most part, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Not of course, the environmentalist thing isn't a bad thing. I'm saying I don't think the popcorn fun is a bad thing at all. It's definitely.
Oh no! Like we need to have fun movies. We're talking to me. I don't like serious movies.
That's true.
Like, give me the fun.
That's true. And this is nothing if not very, very fun. I did point out one thing about V that there's two things about V that I really kind of threw up in here. Like when I was watching it, I kind of threw it, that's definitely from V. And I feel like the big sequence when the motherships first come into the atmosphere, that felt, I know you could argue that that's a typical alien thing, and it is to a degree, but I couldn't help but think like when Will Smith sees the alien ship on the horizon, it felt like those kind of moments when Donovan first saw it.
Okay. It's reminiscent for sure. And when I was watching V, I'm like, oh, this is Independence Day. But when I was watching Independence Day, I never thought, oh, this was inspired by V.
See, when I watched this in the movie theater in 1996,
okay,
right back to V.
Okay,
dated myself a little bit. I went right back to V. And actually, I should bring up some reviews. Some reviews at the time actually said the same thing. It was like, "Oh my god, it's a V remake. It's a remake of it."
Interesting.
It was really into it. And the other time I did notice it, and I didn't notice it after however many years and how many times I've seen this movie. During this particular watch, in the background, when they were talking about the moment when President Whitmore sends up the helicopter with the lights, trying to communicate with the mothership, the alien ship. There's a newscaster in the background. They said the visitors responded. So instead of like calling them the aliens responded, whatever, they actually literally said the visitors responded.
Well, I mean, there's not a lot of terminology available.
You wouldn't say visitors generally, though. You would say aliens. You would say extraterrestrials. You would say.
I would actually be very surprised if Roland Emmerich had ever seen V.
I would not be. I would almost.
Did it air in Germany?
Yes, it absolutely did. It was a worldwide function. I believe at one point, I think it aired there a little later, maybe potentially, but it was definitely. I know a lot of fans from across the world who saw this. So
interesting. So my roommate really likes reaction videos to like scary videos. I don't know if that made any sense. So she watches this guy talk about scary videos.
Okay.
And one of the videos is that I walked out and saw was an airplane coming out of the fog.
Okay.
And I do have to say that was probably the scariest thing I've ever seen. Like if I had saw that, we're going back to the shark conversation we had earlier. Like I wouldn't say we need a bigger boat. I would be dead.
I think we need a new video of all the times that your soul would leave your body. If you had seen.
I am physically, I am a 110-pound, a very frail waif of a person, just a gentle whiff. I'm
blow you away.
I'm not even a gentle breeze away from being a discarded birthday balloon caught in some telephone wires. Like, I'm a very, very petite human.
Mhm.
And that, of course, does affect one's perception of the world.
Yeah. I can see
And I
that.
just don't want to be like eaten or crushed. I feel like that's very fair.
I think that is very fair. But I can only be amused by you watching these videos and being considering how much you love like scary movies and things like that. Although you're more of a silly
Honestly,
scary than anything else, to be honest with you.
I what?
You're more of a silly scary person, I think. I feel like you like even the sillier scary movies even better than the regular scary movies. Like the campier and the funnier.
Okay, I like those more, but to be clear, I've gotten down with French Extremity. Okay,
Oh, I
I've
know.
watched the list of most disturbing movies ever made. Okay,
And the ones you like best.
so what if it's Return of the Living Dead? So what if it's Reanimator?
Nothing. I'm just being factual. I'm just getting the points across. That's all. Nothing more.
Was I sat for Slaughtered Vomit Dolls? Yes. Did I finish it? No.
Do I know half the movies you tell me? No. Have I heard of half of them? No. And I always considered myself a horror person. And then I talked to you, I'm like, God, I don't know anything. I was thinking about all these horror movies.
Did I watch
Oh.
both of the Popeye movies that came out this year? Yes. Did I really regret one of those? Yes.
Not both of them, though, huh?
No, because by the time I got to the second one, which was significantly better, they should have called that one Citizen Popeye. It became, by comparison, a phenomenal film. It was cathartic release,
Okay.
kind of like what we're doing here.
I
See,
will.
I got it around.
You did read around those. That was very, very well done. Very well done. I will probably not be watching those Popeye movies. Probably not.
Listen, Popeye the Slayer Man is not bad. I think they did a good job of incorporating the Popeye, the source material into a horror film.
Okay.
And it did have a good message about not tampering with food. The spinach was bad, PLD. The spinach went bad.
And that is something that Popeye cannot stand for.
He is what he is.
He is what he is. That's true. Oh, God. Okay. Before we get into a round about that, before we start talking about Popeye the Slayer Man, perhaps we should move on.
You just don't understand my pain.
No, I don't. And I don't want to. I don't think I want to.
But what I'm saying is, I do watch the gritty horror movies too. Don't you worry. I just don't talk about those ones because I don't like them as much.
I know. See, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's why you prefer the other ones. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, this one's got a great cast. I always forget just how many cool people are in this until I watch it. In a way, it's kind of like I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. Robert Loggia is awesome in this. Will Smith. Even, okay. I don't know what he is now, but back then Randy Quaid was cool.
I don't really know anything about him, but I do like him in this film.
Yes, he has kind of turned out to be kind of a wackadoo, but he is a full-blown wackadoo now. But in here, I don't think anyone else could have played this part quite the same way. He was phenomenal. He actually is, to me, the beating heart of this movie.
1,000%. Though in this watch, I'll say my favorite character has always been Dr. Oaken, Brent Spiner, Data. But you know what? Who really is the badass of this movie? Adam Baldwin's character, Major Mitchell.
Yep.
He's doing all the badass hero stuff, but it's
Yeah.
like in the background because there's so many people in this movie. It's
Yes.
just ridiculous. Like, this is one of those movies that if you are on, like, pause any moment of this movie, you'll recognize almost every single person in the movie, even the background people.
Right.
You're
Absolutely.
like, oh, there's that guy. He's been in like 15 movies, and he has a single line in this movie.
Right. Oh, I mean, obviously Will Smith is the lead, I guess you'd say, Captain Hiller.
Oh, really? I would say that Jeff Goldblum's more the lead.
You think so?
Yeah.
You start on Will Smith, you kind of end on Will Smith. Jeff Goldblum comes in the middle for the most part. Because Will Smith's the inspiring pilot who gets to fly the.
have a scene with Goldblum first, don't we?
I could be wrong. I could be wrong on that.
I have it as Goldblum then in my
You're
notes.
not, you're right. You
supposed
are correct. You are correct. Interesting. Well, Will Smith
But
is
they
the top.
both have arcs.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, I'll give you that. I'll definitely give you that. Bill Pullman is like the secondary lead. I would call him like the next tier down. I guess they're both Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum can
I
be
think they're
on
pretty equitable.
the
I mean,
matinee.
not in terms of like what they're doing, but
Right.
the amount
Right, the amount of doing.
as leads, they're both there.
Which would be funny enough, I guess, for looking at some stats here, I guess Ethan Hawke was initially given offered the role that Will Smith played. That would have been
That
hard.
Wikipedia entry confused me because it said he was initially offered the role, and then the very next line on the Wikipedia thing says they always imagined it as a black man. So I'm like, which is it?
It's true.
One or the other.
Well, probably I'm going to guess that Devlin Emmerich always envisioned it as an African American male and wanted Will Smith, but the studio wanted Ethan
Yes,
Hawke
I was going to
from
say
that.
because I do know I've read elsewhere that the studio was very reluctant to have Will Smith as the lead.
Ethan Hawke was a little more bankable at that time. Although that would have been a far different movie. Can you imagine Ethan Hawke in that lead? I like Ethan Hawke, but it's a totally different character.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen him in a fun movie other than like, no, I was going to say Dead Poet Society, but that's not really fun. That's as fun as he gets.
Yeah,
Given I've not seen his entire filmography.
Reality Bites was kind of a low, like sitcom kind of fun, I thought. No, not sitcom, but like it was a romantic comedy kind of thing. I would say also he did do that show this year that I was no, never mind. I'm thinking of somebody else. Not Ethan Hawke on that one. Yeah, he's not really known for. He's usually a pretty grim guy.
I'll throw out. I do think Maya Hawke could play this character.
Oh, Maya Hawke could absolutely play this character. I am a big fan of Maya Hawke. I've been rewatching Stranger Things recently because of the season coming up, and I'm watching season 3 right now. I just finished season 3. Scoop Troop. As she definitely was a phenomenal addition. She's actually one of the reasons why I like season 3. I think season 1 was like a perfect season of television. I really liked the first season. Season 2 started slow, really came together at the end, really solid and strong at the end, except for that one like little backdoor pilot they did with 11 when she went to
episode 7. This does not work for me.
No, it's pretty. I mean, I think they had to do it because they had taken her out for so long, but keeping her away from them for so long kind of also was not good for the show. I didn't think.
No.
Anyway, I made for a good comeback when they got together. It's like, yeah, I finally got together, but it's like it's almost the end of the freaking season at this point. That was just not good. I really do think that was a backdoor pilot. They're going to try to do like a
just kind of a note to writers: don't pause all of your action for an episode like that.
Exactly,
it just doesn't work.
It does not work. I just watched season 3, and season 3 it kind of goes a little off the rails a bit. I'm not as big a fan of it, but
I love season 3.
Reason you do love season 3. Oh, that's cool. Okay, I like parts of it. I think it sometimes goes a little too chaotic for me. I think, but Maya Hawke is one of the reasons I actually really do like the season. She really brings it together because she is exciting to watch and fun to watch. And I also like Billy as the bad guy. I'll give him that much. Well, bad guy, so to speak, or whatever.
The Stephen King bully.
Yes, exactly. That's a perfect description for him. Tangent. We always tangent on the show. I'm sorry if you're not used to us. We're going to go off on all these different sidebars as we dare. Going back now, we went to Ethan Hawke from Will Smith. So that's how we got there. Will Smith. Is this one of his? Where is he in Hollywood at this point? I'm trying to think where he.
Oh, I didn't look that up. I was actually thinking about that in terms of Jeff Goldblum.
Because he was, I mean, he had DJ Jazzy Jeff, obviously, in the Fresh Prince. That was this big.
Yeah, and the little boy, Dylan, he's also in Fresh Prince, right?
I believe
he played
so, yeah.
The cousin Nikki.
I believe that's true. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So he had made his name. He had a couple of films. 6 Years of Separation was his first bigger role. He got kind of critical acclaim for that. Then he had Bad Boys in the previous year. 1995 was Bad Boys, and that was his big coming out.
That's Michael Bay, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Him and Martin Lawrence. That was that was basically his big coming out party. And then Independence Day was this year, and then the next year was Men in Black. So that's a good trio for him at that point.
Definitely.
Hell, I'll even give it a foursome because the year after that, '98, he does Enemy of the State with Tony Scott.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of Enemy of the State? Really? Oh, I think you might like it.
I like a lot of Tony Scott stuff, but then there's stuff that's just like, oh, that looks serious and boring.
This is a big, loud action fun, but Gene Hackman plays like this really eccentric guy, and he's like it's actually Gene Hackman's actually playing his character from French Connection, kind of like, but like I remember so the conversation. It's like almost sequel, like not completely a sequel. Like it's the same type of character 20 years later, except for like they call him a different name, but they even use like his younger pictures from the original, like from the conversation film. So it's like this like non-sequel sequel. Anyway, it's really good. I think you would like it. It's pretty fun. It is. And then Wild Wild West was after that. So he did a pretty big run there for him. Yeah. So, but I liked him. And this is basically, it's not exactly a stretch for him to play this role. This is his kind of Will Smith character. Like he plays pretty much himself, being out there, loud, obnoxious, funny. That's it.
Confident.
Confident. Yes, absolutely confident. Jeff Goldblum, on the other hand, also is playing to a type of character that he plays quite often.
Nerdy intellectual.
Nerdy intellectual, yeah.
Affable nerdy intellectual.
Make sure you put that on there because he definitely is. I do like him as well in this role. It makes them have a good. They don't get a whole lot of time together, but their time together at the end. It's kind of funny that they're the two leads that we just talked about, but they don't get a whole lot of time together actually until the end.
It's about coming together. It's the journey.
Exactly. This is also the first film that I saw Bill Pullman in. This is my first experience with Bill Pullman, and my younger self wanted him to win an Academy Award for the speech.
We literally discussed that speech in a speech writing class that I took.
Did you?
I wrote a paper on it in a different class. It's a good speech.
That speech still gives me goosebumps. It still like makes me want to run through a brick wall for him. Like that's one of the best rah-rah speeches has ever been placed on film, I think. I always see people that actually don't like this movie will say, this movie is trash, it's silly, it's whatever. But man, that speech. Evil in that speech.
So you hadn't seen Spaceballs yet?
I must have seen Spaceballs by then.
I say, because that came out in '87. You had me real tripped up there.
I am not doing well today. I'm not gonna lie. I must have seen Spaceballs first. Okay, so I did see Spaceballs first.
I probably would have seen Casper.
I definitely had not seen Casper's at that point. I probably had not seen A League of Their Own at that point. I saw it much later on. Singles I probably didn't see at that point. Brain Dead I hadn't seen at that point. Covered in the Rainbow I definitely hadn't seen. You know what it was about Spaceballs?
Oh God, I remember that movie.
That's a fun one. Spaceballs, I think what it is about Spaceballs is that I was so into Spaceballs that I did not see him as Bill Pullman. I saw him as Lone Star. So like that's the first time I saw him in anything else, I think. By the way, did you see the trailer for the introduction trailer for the sequel for that?
I don't really watch trailers, should I?
It's a fun, silly one. It's not even like a trailer. It's like an announcement they made. Like Josh Gad basically just like
a Hitchcock thing.
Star Warsian crawl. Like a Star Warsian crawl about like, since the last time we had Spaceballs, we had a prequel trilogy, a sequel trilogy. It just is a list of all these kind of movies we got. We've only had one Spaceballs. And then Mel Brooks, who just turned 99, just comes on in the end. He's like, well, we asked the fans what they wanted. And then we just decided to make this movie anyway. What was that?
It's very trauma. I wish they'd worked together.
Oh, that would have been beautiful. That could have really worked out very well.
I think there was a really funny joke that Lloyd Kaufman does where he says that people confuse him think he's Mel Brooks. It's pretty funny.
Oh, speaking of trauma, did you see the trailer for the new Toxic movie?
The new what?
Toxic Avenger movie.
No.
Don't. So
It can't be that bad. That movie's so near and dear to my heart.
that's why I don't want you to watch it. I don't want you to watch it. Peter Dinklage, I don't think it's the same. There's something about it that broke my heart. I don't even know what necessarily does, but I kind of feel like it's something you can't remake at this point, especially like
I think you could, but I don't necessarily understand Peter Dinklage. I would have gone with because he's got to be like 50. I don't necessarily know if it works for someone older to play that character
I don't think it
because
does.
Melvin is so, unless they made him maybe
It changes sort of.
developmentally younger.
Yeah,
Like Melvin's so innocent, and I think that's so important to his character that I just don't think a grown man displays that level of innocence that way, like Melvin did.
I just think the heart of Toxic Avenger, or the draw to it, is like the made by duct tape and bit and glue, and that like
Oh
almost like
God, did they give it a budget?
it seems like there's a little bit of a budget to it. That's not, like that's what I'm seeing. It seems like it's like almost like corporate. I mean, there's some effects that look like they're bad budget, but I feel like they look like they were like purposely bad instead of like just being bad. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to explain the difference, I guess, but I just
Oh no, you can, and the difference is called Velocipaster, and they did it well. They did it perfect. For everyone who says you can't purposely make and it's so bad it's good movie, Velocipaster just said, yeah, you can.
all right.
If you're a man of the claw.
All right.
Worship of Miami Connection. Dragon Sound.
Oh, good stuff. Anyway, Bill Pullman is really good in this role. I really liked him in this role. I really like this character. You don't like getting like the young president, the guy who's, I mean, younger president in a way, and you see him like he's a former pilot, so he's like this war hero making the train. Like they actually do a good job, I think, of giving him a character. Given that this whole film is so basically fast paced for the most part, there's a lot of like action and fast.
Yeah, I would say everyone, you understand very quickly their motivations and who they are. Emmerich and his writing partner Dean Devlin do a really good job. I would say almost on par with Zemeckis in how they establish characters really quickly, really well, and very subtly. Like you understand in the first scene, Jeff Goldblum, he's playing chess with his father. He's divorced. He's concerned about the environment.
Right. Absolutely. And I love that they give them all, like you kind of said it before, we have the cast of like thousands, and everybody's like a known character, whatever. Every character had like this set of supporting roles, like all the big characters had like supporting roles that you're like, oh, and they were colorful characters that actually they weren't just background, like having Harvey Firestein as like Jeff Goldblum's like co-worker or whatever he was.
His
Great.
boss.
Was it a boss? Was it a boss? I couldn't tell. It was like
Sure boss.
I couldn't really tell, honestly. It was like, because it seemed like maybe it was one of those things where Jeff Goldblum's so smart that he's smarter than his boss, that kind of situation that I can get. But either way, it was like he's trying to deal with what's going on. That was a great little addition there. Vivica A. Fox being Will Smith's love interest. Although she got a little bit more later on, thankfully, but not as much as I wanted. I wanted to see more from her. But I really loved Bill Pullman's wife, Mary McConnell, who obviously we know from mostly from Battlestar, for me anyway, from Battlestar Galactica, as the president, eventually president in Battlestar Galactica. Did you ever see Battlestar Galactica? That's probably way too serious for you. Way too serious, way too critically acclaimed and good for you.
You know, Jaws is one of my favorite movies. That's critically acclaimed.
That's fair. That's fair. She was in a lot of series though. She did like she was in ER for about 5 episodes. She was in Grey's Anatomy for a little bit, but I knew her best from Battlestar Galactica. I liked her. I love the scene between her and Vivica A. Fox that scene when like they're just discovering who they are, and she mistakes her for a ballet dancer instead of an exotic dancer. That's kind of like thanks. There's a lot of those nice little human moments there, like those kind of like just moments that were. I just thought they were really well done in this. Again, in this kind of movie, having those kind of moments in this kind of movie, it's what make these movies work for me. So you have the big flash and the action and everything else, but it kind of gets forgettable unless you get these memorable moments, memorable characters. Like you know what I'm saying?
Yes, this movie is chock full of memorable moments.
Yes, absolutely.
And quotable lines. You know,
Mhm.
your time's up. Welcome to Earth. He does say Earth with a TH. People, come on.
He does.
You
You're
can
absolutely right.
hear it.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, what's the quote? And I was just talking about how quotable it was, where he's like, as my generation, in the words of my generation, up yours. Hello, boys, I'm back.
That's right. That's right. I also like. All right, this is back in the days when I was during the rah rah. This is definitely a rah rah patriotic movie.
Oh, it's getting into American exceptionalism in a bad
100%.
way.
In fact, at one point, I remember like I was loving it back in the time. I used to love that kind of stuff when I was younger. I was a younger boy. Absolutely loved like Top Gun, that kind of stuff. I was all into that stuff. Americans have a plan. It's about bloody time. They're waiting for the Americans. Like, I'll get down. Like,
it's so weird because this is made by a German man, and not like, oh, he was just born in Germany, but grew up. No, born and raised into adulthood and educated his entire life in Germany.
Well, I think he knew the audience he was making it for. I mean, the movie is called Independence Day.
Yeah, but why even call it Independence Day? Why even have that initial setup like that? It's very strange.
To sell in America and make money. That's my guess.
I guess. But that brings me to a question I'm just curious about. And I've often wondered this. So the scene you were talking about earlier between the First Lady and Vivica Fox's character, she said she voted for the other guy. So that means to me, she's heavily implying Whitmore is a Republican. Because a Black woman from Los Angeles who is a single mother, and if she's working as a stripper, she's probably at best middle class, isn't voting Republican.
Possibly, because I mean, she is also dating someone who is in the military, so it might be kind of that angle might have.
Not everyone in the military.
But military tends to be more Republican, especially back in those days, back in the 90s.
I would have said actually more recently, but as someone who grew up on military bases,
so it's usually pro-military, pro-law enforcement. That's usually the Republican strongholds back in the day, especially the 90s.
I don't know. I wasn't around the 90s very long. I can't attest to that. I think that's just the outside view. I think, I mean, depending on who you're talking to and if they're still in the military or not, really a lot of military aren't, because the government tends to fuck them over.
It's interesting. I mean, I can see that. I
think a lot of those like wannabe military guys are very Republican, but that's a whole different thing.
Maybe. Okay.
But I just thought it was really funny. Or the third option, which I think is the most likely option, Roland Emmerich hadn't quite figured out American politics yet. And had not met any Black women from Los Angeles.
That could also be.
Which is the most likely answer. I just thought that was so funny that they had that line in there. And I'm like, Roland Emmerich, you just messed my mind up. Because he's also like a young president who had been like a war hero, which tends to be more Republican leaders are that way rather than Democratic leaders. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, they definitely don't let you know either way. They definitely don't know.
No. So. I mean, maybe the sequel does. I don't really remember. I only watched it once.
I purposefully have avoided watching.
I watched in the theater. I had a fun time. I can't. You give me a look. Maybe I'll rewatch it. I don't know. I'm pretty easy to please. Okay, as long as you're not making a bad movie that is like
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 Independence Day Resurgence.
no, I mean bad like that Civil War movie I was talking about in my Discord earlier. Like that was a bad movie. Oppenheimer, that was a bad movie.
What
I'm
are
saying
you
I'm down on
talking
that one.
about? What are you talking about? What are you like? Oppenheimer was a phenomenal movie.
No, it wasn't
Oh
PLD.
yes, it
It's
was.
so cute that you think that.
Uh,
No.
yeah, and you're saying Independence Day Resurgence.
No, I'm not saying it was good. I'm saying I watched it once in the theater and I had a fun time. I don't really remember it that much, except that I do remember that it took place and tried to address what would happen with all of the spaceships that had crashed and how that would have affected
Will
people.
Smith's character died in a testing piloting situation.
Listen, if the dude doesn't want to come back from a movie, what are you going to do?
You don't write him off that way. You write him off
Do
a better
whatever you
way.
want. Do whatever you
My
want.
soul. You remember the Jaws
What I
conversation
don't
we
like
had?
about the movie is the recasting of Mae Whitman. That was fucked up.
You remember the talking about the Jaws situation where your soul left your body?
Uh-huh.
Watching that movie, my soul left my body. That's how bad it was to me. That was a piss poor movie.
Wow.
It should feel bad about itself. It
I'll
should
have
go
to
sit in the
rewatch
corner.
it. I just remember having a fun time. I was so
Oh.
excited. I walked in with pep in my step, and I walked out with a pep in my step.
And then Oppenheimer's bad.
Yeah.
How is it bad? Wait, we shouldn't. We're gonna get to it totally. Like, I feel like
I'm
it's another
almost
conversation.
prepared to write my dissertation on my hatred of Oppenheimer.
Well, it's okay that you can be wrong, and I'm okay with that.
Oh, but I'm not. This one I'm very rarely, but I will say I'm not wrong.
You are absolutely dead wrong.
No, I think who directed it? Christopher Nolan?
Yes.
I think people saw his name attached to it and they are unable to divorce themselves of the prestige of his name.
That's not true because I don't like some of his films. I don't like Dunkirk very well much, to be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of Dunkirk. It's not as good. I like most of his. I do like most of his movies. I'll admit that. But I thought Oppenheimer was fantastic. I really got it. I thought Cillian Murphy gave a hell of a performance. I think Robert Downey Jr. gave a hell of a performance. I just thought it was really well done. Okay, we're gonna stop because that's gonna have to be another show someday. And I'll have to watch it again. So I'm not prepared to really fight you on this. It has been a while since I've seen it. I'll watch it again.
Theater, and I didn't actually hear almost any of it because the audio was fucking incomprehensible.
Okay. I will give you that. Christopher Nolan's audio mixing is always terrible, and I don't understand why it is. He's so meticulous about almost everything he does, and yet
maybe he has a hearing issue.
Maybe he does, because I will give you that. In every one of his movies, his audio mixing is absolutely terrible. So that I'll cede that to you.
So back to American exceptionalism.
Go ahead. Bring it on.
I was trying to segue back.
Oh, I thought you had
I did a really good job. And you dropped the ball.
I dropped the ball. I thought you were actually bringing back and I had a point to make about it. I was like, okay, I was going to give you
I mean, if you really want to talk about Oppenheimer, sure. But I thought you were trying to segue back.
I'm going to segue back. Oh, my God. All right. Judd Hirsch. The Judd Hirsch classic, Alien Invasion movie.
You know, I do think Judd Hirsch does deserve a little bit more recognition.
In general or
in this general.
Okay. I think he had a lot of recognition back in the day. Just nobody talks about him as much anymore. Back in the day, like
which is some BS. He should be one of those actors everybody knows.
Yeah, because he puts on a hell of a performance in this one. He actually is probably one of my favorite characters. I'm amused every time he comes on the screen. A little bit of he's definitely got that shtick going, his old Jewish Yiddish thing he's got going on there. But I laugh at it. I'm like, every once in a while I kind of go, should I be laughing at this? Is this like a stereotype? Should I be laughing at this too much? But I don't. I can't help it. He's good at what he does. And I just chuckle. But he's really great as a father figure as well. I love what he does with Jeff Goldblum as far as like, he's always pushing him to do, he's pushing him to do the right thing. He cares about him a lot. Everything he does is about why he cares about him, I think, like strongly. and he supports him mostly. And like when he has those times when just sometimes where he kind of questions what's going on with it because he doesn't understand his son. I think that's part of the issue. But like once he gets there, he'll still support him either way.
Yes, I totally agree. He's definitely demonstrating like a positive father figure.
Right. And he definitely is trying to matchmake him back with his ex-wife there again as well.
Yes. Love is all you need. John Lennon, smart man, shot in the back. Very sad.
Very sad. Great line. Great. I love her
But
reaction.
what makes that line perfect is Connie's response, which is just
oh god. I have the other one too. You punched the president?
He wasn't the president then.
At the time. It's good stuff. He's got a lot of lines throughout that are pretty good. Like the whole at the end there when the sniveling shit weasel guy comes into their prayer circle, like, oh, I'm not Jewish. Nobody's perfect.
No one's perfect.
No one's perfect.
But also, like, he's the one who brings up Area 51.
Yeah. Yeah.
You knew then, and you did nothing.
Nothing. Oh, Julia, my David. That's the support I mean. He comes right there. You got to yell at the president and yell at the high staff because his son was right and they were wrong. Good for him.
That's not entirely accurate. Not which part? That's a great line. Plausible deniability. I say that all the time too.
I do say. Actually, I use that one a lot. That's another great character actor. I can't remember his name. What's his name? He's in a lot of.
I can't say it.
James Redhorn.
James Redhorn.
The actor James Redhorn. He's in a lot of things at that time. My Cousin Vinny. He was in Meet the Parents. He was in Homeland. I forgot about that. He's one of those actors that was in a lot of things over the years. Oh, you know what I remember him best from? At least mine remembers is The Game, the David Fincher movie with Michael Douglas and Sean Penn. He played the
PLD
actor in that. Yes.
I want you to think who your audience is. Do I strike you as someone who has seen The Game?
No, it's too good of a film for you to have seen.
I accept that. It's boring. And you know what? A lot of movies described as good are just misogynist boy movies.
That's not a misogynist boy movie.
Oppenheimer.
Don't bring that smoke again. Don't bring that smoke again.
Oh, I'm bringing fire. I got a Zippo.
Well, I got a fire extinguisher.
I'm making s'mores over here.
We're supposed to be coming together in this movie. Remember? Let's stay together on this. Stay together on this. Oppenheimer is like our enemy right now because it's going to be like just tearing us apart. Anyway, let me ask you this about this movie. I know I almost shouldn't ask this knowing my audience here, or knowing the audience to my question. Does the ending bother you at all? As far as the giving the computer virus a code?
Oh, I knew you were going to bring that up.
I had to bring it up. I
knew you were going to. Okay, so PLD, I need you to understand something. We're going to talk this through, okay? In 1996, I was 4. I have grown up with this movie my entire life, my entire existence as a human being capable of retaining information in my squishy little brain. This movie has existed. And I need you to understand, I'm someone who does web development. I do software. I don't do hardware. I don't understand how any of that stuff works. In the 90s, if you sent me back to 1996, I would not know how to use any of that technology.
Mm-hmm.
I would be floundering. In fact, the other day, I asked my mom how area codes work for phone numbers because I don't know. That's archaic for me. All right, the internal logic of the movie is sound, and that's all I care about. The internal logic of the movie. My suspension of disbelief is such that I believe that this works in this movie.
1996.
So removing reality, internal logic of the film, works. That's
Does
what I
it,
said with that.
Does it? Because the
Yeah.
internal logic. So the internal logic is that there's no logic whatsoever, though.
What do you mean?
Logically speaking, even like if you don't know hardware, you're telling me that an alien that we who can barely put like one computer to another computer, like an app, we couldn't put today. We have a hard time putting an Apple to a PC together. And we're gonna go up to an alien spaceship and connect to an alien technology.
Yes,
with
but
our
we took
USB
their
drive?
ship and their
But we were
signal
able
was
to
using
put
ones
our
and zeros,
stuff,
which we also use ones and zeros.
but we're putting it on
Pretty sure
their hard
whatever
drive.
we had just interpreted it as ones and zeros because that's what we have. But if we can interpret going
But
one
how
way,
do we
we can reverse it.
get it on the ship itself, though? Like, how do we get the virus on the ship?
They took the alien spacecraft onto the ship.
Yeah, but how do we get the virus onto the alien spaceship?
Hey man, he had a laptop. I believe it.
Internal logic.
The internal logic was sound. He showed us, they literally had the computer and he pressed some buttons and then Major Mitchell could shoot the can.
So if I like go right now,
The
my
internal logic of the movie works.
This phone and I can set off a nuclear
You're
bomb.
using real world logic, PLD. Put that away.
No, I'm saying if I was in a movie,
Okay.
my movie is I'm here while you're watching me, and I'm using my iPhone to set off a nuclear bomb in Moscow because I can, because the internal logic. I have an app on my phone that does that.
I mean, theoretically, you could. There are things that can do that.
I can get an app to set off a bomb in
It
Moscow.
wouldn't be an app, no, but there are things that would. Anyway, we'll move past that part. You'd be surprised what they have, apparently. Right. But I'm saying what you're looking at in the movie is he has an idea that he got from his father. He goes to the laptop. He does something. I don't know what. He tells, or at first he sets the can on the thing. He tells Major Mitchell to shoot it. He can't. He presses some buttons. He tells Major Mitchell to shoot again. He can. This is show, don't tell. This is him illustrating that he has done something that allows them to remove the shields. That's the internal logic of the movie. That works. They're not trying to make it make more sense that it needs to. And I'm going to go on a limb and say Roland Emmerich probably didn't know shit about computers.
Now,
internal logic of the movie.
I'll tell you that
works.
It's not something that's a sticking point for me. Like I didn't not like the movie because of it, but it was pretty ridiculous. I thought a lot of stuff.
I think it's perfectly given the movie. If you're just watching the movie, if your knowledge is the movie, which mine is, that made sense to me.
Okay.
It's kind of like, well, I'll use a different example with something I know more about. Watching Godzilla? I think it was Godzilla King of the Monsters, when they're going when they use the word radiation in that movie. I think about constantly. They kept talking about radiation. And I said, that's not how radiation works. I clocked it 17 times. That's not how radiation works, because in real life, that isn't how radiation works. But in the film, I guess that is. I just wish that they had a moment where they maybe explained the internal logic of how radiation works in their world, because they didn't explain it. They didn't show anything regarding it. I only have my own real world logic to go with and my own knowledge. This movie, Independence Day, shows he did something that made the shield drop before they go onto.
So even if something that doesn't sound feasible, but doesn't sound like you could feasibly connect to like an alien ship like that, like you still are okay with it.
Well, they keep saying signals and satellites. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm saying what they showed makes sense.
Okay.
Just because it doesn't need to align with the real world. It needs to align with the internal logic of the film.
Okay.
It's kind of like Man of Steel. Should I keep talking?
Oh boy.
But I'm gonna compliment the movie.
Go ahead.
Okay, I think I'm gonna compliment the movie. I had a problem with how atmosphere worked in the movie. I
Okay.
don't understand because, in my defense, I don't think they ever explained atmosphere, but maybe they did and I missed it. But
Okay.
if they have characters trying to who Superman is affected by the atmosphere as a child. He has asthma, right?
Mm-hmm.
We see when Zod, right,
Mm-hmm.
comes in, he's sky beams, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and they're trying to terraform the planet and change the
Mhm.
atmosphere so it could be that of Krypton's
Right.
for reasons I don't understand. It's very confusing to me. And they seem to get their powers from the atmosphere. Question mark. Made no sense to me. Question
The
mark.
sun. The
And
sun.
I'm like, no. I'm saying if you watch the movie, they're affected by the atmosphere, not the sun.
No,
But
the
then
power is the sun, though. The atmosphere is affected by the powers of the sun.
but these people who are affected by the atmosphere then go into the vacuum of space and still fucking breathe.
They can hold their breath. That's
They're not
Superman powers.
invincible.
That's Superman
Not
powers.
saying the word in general invincible, but specifically the character invincible. That's the neat part. You don't. But they do. And it bothered me. It bothered me so much. I can't remember because I haven't seen it in a long time. But I do make the argument that they are not powered by the sun in that movie as much as they kept wanting to say so. And as much as that is the source that they clearly are powered by the atmosphere. And the creators seem to not understand there's a difference between the atmosphere and the sun's radiation, not the same things.
Right.
Anyway, the internal logic of the film, though, I think did work. I just came with too much of my own knowledge of words like atmosphere and the vacuum of space and radiation. I had too much awareness of these things that the movie didn't offset my knowledge. Okay. And so I couldn't overcome my knowledge to get down to their stupidity and understand the internal stupid logic of their movie. And it seems like that's the problem you're having with Independence.
It could be. It could be.
And that's the nicest thing I can say about Man of Steel.
I don't think I ever thought you would ever say anything nice about that. I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed with you. Good work.
I almost gave it a compliment.
Almost in a backhanded kind of way.
I once was talking about Man of Steel with my friend. This was in like 2013. And this guy, we were at a Chipotle, and this guy was clearly on a date, and he got mad and stuff. Like we were sitting across from each other, so it's like across, but then like one over. And he started like talking to me about Man of Steel. And I'm like, dude, pay attention to your date.
Oh God, and you
And
don't.
I'm
That's
with my friend who's a guy, and he's just sitting there laughing so hard.
that's a raging man, bro, right there.
That was like one of the funniest things ever.
That is a dumb raging man, bro, right there, dude.
Oh man,
it's not that important. It's not that important. Focus.
So funny. I hope he didn't get a second date.
I don't think he would. He did. Unless the girl he was with had no.
Too.
Okay, as I say, unless she had no self-worth at all, then he probably didn't. But find out. You have to find out for me sometime.
So funny. Superman is very important to some people.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I learned the hard way.
Listen to the new one coming out. Oh my God, people are going nuts over this thing. Crazy. Well, also it's the Snyder versus the gun, and I don't understand why we all.
It's so weird because they're so different.
Yeah, they are. They're exact. I mean, that's part of the reason why they hate each other. But like, they like each other. They're friendly with each other. Like it's not like it's a personal thing. Like,
I was gonna say, has Zack Snyder said anything about the new Superman?
No, I think he said he's looking forward to seeing it. I think that's what he said. Pretty much, that's all he said. I think.
I hope he said something complimentary about it.
I wasn't like nothing. He didn't say anything negative about it. He said he's looking forward to seeing it. He likes. He knows James Gunn likes James Gunn, so it was definitely not negative at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's. I don't think he said anything since seeing the footage. It's like any of the footage has come out at all, but I don't understand anyway. Like for me, it's like I understand being upset that you didn't get the end of your run. Like he had a story he wanted to tell, didn't get to finish the story. If you're a fan of that story, then I get that. I'd be like, that sucks. That sucks. I didn't get the end of the story that you were enjoying. But like, that's not James Gunn's fault, and that's not like we're never gonna have it. So you can't ever have a Superman story again if you don't finish that story. Like, there's room in this universe for more than one take on things. There's more than one interpretation on things.
I'm more interested in Blue Beetle continuation. That movie was so fun.
Well, it's one of the ones I haven't seen yet, actually.
Oh, it's so fun. It's my favorite of those movies. I think it had a lot of heart.
I did like the preview, and I do like the lead actor. So it looks like he was the guy from Cobra Kai, I believe, right? Mm-hmm. Correct? Yes. I like him a lot. I think he has a lot of charisma, a lot of friendliness to him, a lot of like warmth to him. I'm gonna see it soon because for PJ and I, for Two Middle-Aged Geeks on Film, we were doing the Superman stories. So we were doing, Man of Steel, Batman for Superman. We're gonna do Zack Snyder's Justice League. But because I was doing those, I'm just gonna kind of go on and watch the rest of the DC EU at that time, because there are a couple of movies along the way that I never got a chance to see. So I'm like, this is my time to. I might as well do it while I'm doing this run. So I have never saw. What did I not see? I didn't see Black Adam. I didn't see Aquaman 2. And I love James Wan.
You're gonna say that one.
I love James Wan, so I've heard bad things, so my heart hurts. But I got to see everything and make my own opinion up. Obviously, that's what I do. But I never will take anybody's opinion for. I will listen to somebody, and it'll affect like my hype level for a movie. But I never will accept anybody. Like I'm going to see it myself and see it and go for it. So,
do you tend to like? I don't know. I think some superheroes lend themselves more to, just more fun type stories.
Yeah,
and those work better for them. So for me, it's just Superman has always been more of a fun story centric character. Like his genre just seems like it should be lighter. And maybe that's because I grew up with Smallville.
Yeah.
And he does have some darker storylines, but not like Batman or something like that.
Right.
So I just prefer the more like hopeful, the more like the brighter version they seem to be going.
Yeah, you're looking forward to the gun one then more?
Yeah. And for me anyway, I'm not familiar with Blue Beetle, like the comic book, but this was one of the most fun superhero movies I've seen. Like period. It was just a fun ride. And I really appreciate that. I am one of those people that thinks that the MCU can get a bit jokey. I think when you do a serious moment, you should take that seriously.
Right.
And not like joke about it. You don't need the clip there. You could have the moment like when Ants and Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen die, you should have a moment and grieve and then go on your mission, you little psychopath. Okay. So I like, the blending of just being very, I just felt like Blue Beetle was such an earnest movie.
Right.
And that's kind of rare.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that's what Spider-Man kind of does best when Spider-Man is at its best. It's the same kind of situation. Absolutely.
I say those are, I wouldn't say they're equitable, but they're kind of similar.
Yeah. They're both brighter, fun, genuine,
and it's a really good
warm
family story.
Right. I agree with that.
I'm trying to think of other superhero stories that were good family stories.
Ant-Man is a little
not the same,
but not in some ways. Like I think in some ways, like I don't know.
It is a family story, but not like this.
But I think it's like that bright, like fun kind of humor to it, like that lends itself to the humor. There's some drama in it as well, but I think there's some warmth to it. Paul Rudd just makes that for me a lot, though. That's why I like Paul Rudd in general. I like Paul Rudd. So
who? Oh, I don't want to call him the sidekick.
Which one?
The guy who was always telling stories.
Oh, Michael Pena. Michael Pena.
Yes, Michael Pena.
Yes.
He makes those movies for me.
Oh, I love that. I was so sad when he wasn't in the third one.
That was some bullshit.
Yeah, I was mad.
That movie was just some bullshit. You think? I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it. Insert very big actor here makes up for the lack of Michael Pena. No, it does not.
Although I did love that actor.
Although I didn't know he was going to be in it when I watched it, and I was like,
yes. Nice. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. What else do we have to say about this movie at this point? Do you have any notes that you want to bring up at this point? We've kind of talked about a bunch of different
So,
things.
did you watch the extended version or like the normal theatrical version?
I watched, I think it must have been the normal one. I just watched what's on Disney Plus, to be honest with you.
Okay.
So,
So I grew up, I own it. So I grew up watching, I guess, what is the extended cut? So I think that's what I've seen a lot more times. Which does have a little bit more, particularly about Russell K's character.
Okay.
Okay, so
I
like
don't
when
know if
you're
I've ever seen
watching the normal version, his
Mhm.
son, his youngest son, Troy, gets sick, right? In the RV. He's
Right.
like, pull over, man, I don't feel so good. And
Right,
he
right.
throws up. Are you familiar with the whole storyline with that, or have you never seen that stuff?
No, never seen any of that stuff.
Okay, so we learn, I'm assuming both Miguel, that's the oldest, and
Right.
the daughter, whose name escapes me, Alicia.
Right.
I'm assuming those aren't his kids. Those were his wife's kids. His wife has passed. She had some illness that their son, so his actual biological son, Troy, also has. I don't know exactly what it is. I'm assuming it's a heart condition. The curly-haired boy that's hanging out with Alicia at the end when they're in the bunker in Area 51, that boy is part of the RV caravan thing, and he brings them penicillin to help lower Troy's fever.
Oh.
And when they first get to Area 51, Russell actually grabs one of the doctors and he gets really angry in his face and says, "You need to come with me now or my son's going to die." And that at that moment, that's when Miguel like really kind of sees him as like dad at that point, which we see him call him dad at the end right before Russell dies.
Right.
Like, and it's essentially the hero of the story.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we have a lot more with his character in those moments. And there's a scene where like Troy is kind of sick in the RV and he's talking to him about his mom and stuff. You get significantly more with especially Russell, and considering he is kind of the heart of the movie, like I understand why those scenes are taken out because this movie's already 2.5 hours.
Right,
But I think the 3-hour cut is definitely worth watching. There's an additional scene with Harvey Fierstein and Jeff Goldblum talking about the signal. And yeah, there's definitely quite a few other scenes. And again, these aren't like scenes that without them the movie is lost or not as good. But I do think that if you've never seen them, you can find a fast cut of them on YouTube or something,
right.
and see what you've missed and kind of infer where they go. And most of them are with Russell K and his family, but there are some other ones as well that are worth watching.
I think I knew of the existence of the extended cut. I never actually get a chance to watch it, so I will maybe check that out on YouTube afterwards. Because I think again, like I agree, Russell Case is really the heart of the story. So seeing him in there seeing more from him can only like bolster that for sure.
Oh, another line from him. I picked a bad day to quit drinking.
A bad day to quit drinking. That was a good one too. Yeah. Or when he flies over and does the wrong crop dusts the wrong car. He's like, "It's on the other side of town. Are you sure? Are you sure?"
Yeah, he's a bit of a menace, actually.
He really is. Let me ask you this. This is a common question I had. Was he abducted by aliens or not?
This gets a little bit. This is like one of the only things where I would criticize about the film.
Okay, go ahead. Throw it at me. I'm curious.
I don't necessarily know if depicting the alien abduction guy as being right is healthy.
The choice.
Do you know someone who legitimately thinks they were abducted by aliens?
No, do you?
I wouldn't say I know them, but at university, I remember I sat outside a lot to do my homework, and one of my assignments was I had to read the Wall Street Journal. So I would sit outside and read the Wall Street Journal. And one of the guys, I don't know exactly what he did, so just like custodial staff to some degree. There were 2 guys working on something, and one of them was talking about how he'd been abducted by aliens.
Okay.
And the other guy was being polite. And I think
Right.
I was like trying to read my paper, and
Blinders on.
it actually was very sad.
Mhm.
Because it got really dark, and it's just one of those things where it's like, this is a man living in Georgia who, he's like clearly put together, like he's maintaining a job, but
Mm,
like I do feel bad that his access and probably the cultural stigma of, mental health
right.
probably is making it not very possible for him to get, help or anything. Because I don't think, oh, I'm sorry, I know two people. The other one was diagnosed schizophrenic. So that's,
Oh, okay.
so I don't think it is necessarily good to depict that as being, I don't know. I don't think it's funny, and I don't think it's healthy
Well,
per se.
actually, the thing what I was going to say was I would say that as far as that goes, they left it purposely vague. I think like there was
Yes.
purposely vague done and everything else, and I don't think he was. I think he was a victim of mental health. I think that's what they were trying to say. He was damaged. He's obviously had some damage up there from something. Probably they have what is his background? Was he a war pilot or something?
Yeah,
Was
he's
he?
after
Yeah,
Nam, gotten into crop
that's
dusting,
what it
been
was.
doing it ever
That's
since. And on a more
that's right.
personal note, and then I'm just like, girl,
Right.
stop, Brother.
Yeah. So my own I think he did not get abducted, and but interesting that they left it vague like that. I almost feel like they hadn't left it vague. I wish they kind of like said no, this is something totally different or something totally new.
I also don't think it was good that they, it was like Area 51 is real. Well, Area 51 is, yes, a real place,
Yes,
but
yeah.
it's not what
Well,
people.
that I feel less like for this kind of movie. I feel like that's that I feel like it comes like because it reinforces beliefs in a way, but at this time it's kind of as a silly science fiction alien movie. And having Area 51 there, I think is not necessarily too bad of a thing, to be honest with
I
you.
also think in '96, there's some things that that it was okay to do it then. I don't think you should do it now.
Okay. No,
If that
that's
makes
true. A
sense.
lot of things. That's true.
Like,
A
I
lot
know
of things
they're redoing Carrie, and I'm like, I think Carrie was okay
in the
in the
70s. Yeah.
70s, but I
Right.
think with things that are happening in schools today, I don't necessarily know if that's a great story to be telling. Personally, I don't know.
I don't know.
Also, it's not girls who are doing that stuff, if you notice. Hint, hint. But that's whatever. It's fine. The first Mike Flanagan thing, I'm just decidedly not watching. Ugh.
Okay. I will definitely be watching because I am a Flana fan and I am a Flana devotee, so I will watch everything he does. But I understand your decision to abstain.
Well,
That's
it's
okay.
more, I just don't like the story of Carrie in general.
Right. That's fine.
What? But what I'm saying is, it's kind of a weird thing. It's like it's not that these things aged poorly, is what I'm trying to get at. It's that they're in that time period. I don't think Area 51 is what it is today, and I don't think conspiracy theories were in the 90s what they are today.
How
Or I
so?
don't think people are as unhinged about conspiracy theories as they are today.
I think they are. I just think that they have more.
I like to think the 90s were better.
See, the thing is, we just didn't know it because we weren't as connected. We all weren't as completely connected. Like it was there and it was happening. It just wasn't. We just didn't see it. A lot of it. That's
But
my.
then in Emmerich's defense, then he didn't know. He didn't know. He knew vaguely there was a conspiracy theory, and it's probably kind of funny, right? Must be.
I gotta say, I find it very funny how we are talking about Independence Day, and we have brought up at least 3 or 4 different topics that feel like they're their own podcasts that you're gonna have to get into at some point with your passion, and I'm here for it. Maybe we'll do that if enough people want, but I'm just throwing it out there. This is something we could potentially do at some point.
I'm a very passionate person.
Yeah, I know this. I definitely know this. Let's see what else we have to talk about for this.
Did you notice the references to Jurassic Park?
Yes, I did. I did like
Did
those.
you know, this is gonna blow some people's minds. No, did you know Roland Emmerich wanted to direct a Jurassic Park?
I certainly did know that. And if you didn't know that or watch this movie, you probably do afterwards. So it makes a lot of sense.
You know, Spielberg wanted to direct a Godzilla. And if you watch Godzilla 98 and Lost World, I bet you can tell those things.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you can. And both are
What a great double feature.
By great, you mean terrible? Then yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
What?
Lost
You don't
World
like Lost World?
is my least favorite Spielberg movie. My least favorite Spielberg movie.
There's got to be a worse one.
There's a lot of hate in his heart. Not there's some that are up there with it, but I love Spielberg. But that is probably my least favorite one.
AI? You like AI more than this?
I'm gonna blow your mind.
Oh.
AI is one of my favorites.
Oh, wow!
I love AI. Unabashedly love AI.
Wow! Ready Player One? He did direct that, right? I'm not imagining
I
that.
don't think he wrecked it. It was.
Oh, I said directed.
Oh, directed. No, he did. He did direct.
I didn't imagine he just produced. He directed.
No,
too.
he directed it.
Okay.
Yeah, he directed that one. I thought it was fun. It was silly. It's not his best work, but I think the book is very. It did what the book did for the most part.
Did he direct the third Indiana Jones movie?
He did.
Did he direct the second?
He directed the first 4.
Okay, hang on. You're telling me you like Crystal Skull more than the Lost World?
You come on with me and PJ. We'll defend Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Oh, I love Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I thought it was literally the only person.
Oh no, PJ and I love it. PJ and I absolutely love it. We think it's a perfect people don't understand that film at all instead of
because I think you need to watch House 2, the second story, before you can properly get it. I'm not kidding.
You know, I never thought of it that way, but that's interesting. Well,
you got to get down with the Crystal Skulls before you can get down with Kingdom.
I just said I loved it because it's like it's a 50s sci-fi pastiche instead of being like the 30s serials that the first 3 were. Like it's like a different style of movie. It's so people didn't understand that aspect of it. They wanted what was the first 3 films, and they gave you a different film, and it wasn't. But it was still a fun adventure, and Indy was still Indy. Harrison was still Harrison, and yes, the Crystal Skull. I loved it. So.
Oh, there's this. So you know the whole thing with Spielberg and Tobe Hooper and Poltergeist, right?
I do, yes.
Okay, so
what's your take on that? What is your take on that? I'm kind of curious.
Tobe Hooper directed.
Okay.
And it's an Amblin production, and Steven Spielberg just had too much time on his hands during the downtime that E.T. had to take a hiatus.
Right.
Anyway, this.
So you don't think Steven Spielberg directed a lot of it? Like
no.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
I think there's a lot of things that, like, because Amblin Entertainment produced it, it does have a Steven Spielberg vibe, like the music and stuff.
Oh, yeah,
it seemed to me more of something Spielberg would do than Tobe Hooper. But like the scene where the guy's ripping his face off, that is not Spielberg. That is Tobe Hooper. Come on. 100%. But there's this account I follow on Instagram, and they started making Tobe Hooper directed Jaws stickers. You know, I kind of want one. I might just make one. I just think it's so petty and funny.
That is very petty, very funny. I'm here for it.
And also, I mean, like, Tobe Hooper died, you know, quite a few years ago. And I don't know. I don't think Spielberg has really come out enough to say, like, I didn't direct it. Tobe Hooper directed it. Like, I don't think he's ever come out and firmly said that.
I don't know if he has that either. He probably should.
It's a little shitty in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, you're both
he's got to be aware.
Steven Spielberg, no one can sue you. This was 40 years ago.
He's got to be aware of the whatever you call it, the scandal.
Like, it's not going to ruin your career. You're like 90. You're Steven Spielberg. Like,
I don't know why I don't think. I don't know.
Or come out and say I did direct it. He was just on set, like, whatever.
Right. Come out and say either way. That's true. I know a lot of people have come to Tobe Hooper's defense saying it was definitely Tobe doing it and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
I would I believe did Steven maybe direct a scene or two? I would believe that he was on set and like Tobe Hooper was around. He'd kind of like did a little bit of second unit kind of stuff or something like that. I think that happens more than you think. Hell, Steven Spielberg directed a bit of Revenge of the Sith. Like that is like a known fact. Like sort of like during the Obi-Wan Anakin battle in Mustafar was partially directed by Spielberg. Like that's out there. So,
I can't remember who was on set for Hellraiser, but somebody was kind of helping Clive Barker.
Yes,
but Clive Barker never directed anything, and he's pretty open about that.
Right, exactly. So I mean, I just don't think. I think it probably was one of those things where Steven Spielberg was on set a couple times. He maybe directed a scene or something like that, and helped Toby Hooper or something, and like the story got blown out of proportion that he directed the movie. He didn't. I just like advised.
I feel like there was something with Romero being on a set, but I can't remember what set. It's gonna bug me.
Yeah. Well, next time we'll come back. So we should do a Romero movie at some point. We got to do it.
Martin is so underrated.
I mean, I personally would want to do Knight Riders because Harris.
Romero directed it?
Yeah. Yes,
I didn't know that. That's still on my watch list.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. So with Savini and all, Tom Savini.
Well, of course, Savini. Yeah, got to get your Pittsburgh bros.
It's fun. It is a fun movie. It's a very fun movie. And Ed Harris does not know how to he can only take a role seriously. So no matter what role it is, he is taking it seriously. And it's like a good thing though. Like it's just like because he's very earnest about what could be a very silly role. But a guy who's like the leader of a motorcycle joust, like a medieval age, like it's a silly kind of character. It can be taken completely silly, but he takes it very earnestly, and that's what kind of makes the film work, I think. To be honest with you. But, all right, anyway, back to Independence Day. We're gonna go through all these things. Another thing I want to bring up about Independence Day that I really, really liked. I'm curious if you liked it or not. I never know. You again? Sometimes you throw me these loops. Harry Connick Jr. Love him or hate him?
This is the only thing I've ever seen him in, to my knowledge.
Oh, okay. How about in this movie then?
I think he works perfectly well as Captain Jimmy Wilder.
I think that it was a mistake to kill him off so early. I think him and Will Smith had such great chemistry together, and that I could see him dying in the final battle. I would love to have seen them together throughout.
I think you needed him to die. I think the cast was pretty big. You needed to see that there are stakes.
I think the White House blowing up and the city blowing up was pretty good stakes enough at that point.
Ooh, since you're a little, a few years on myself, do you remember the ad campaign? Because I heard it was pretty crazy that they used the White House.
Yeah, it was very scandalous.
The White House blowing up or the Capitol building blowing up?
It was the White House blowing up, and that was very
scandalous. The miniatures in this movie are spot
on, yeah.
Oh, the effects. I don't know if it won an award, but like
I think it was Academy Award winning for visual effects, I believe.
It deserved them because it looks so good.
Let's see. Yes, it won for best visual.
From my understanding, Roland Emmerich actually does go out of his way to try and do minimal on CGI and do a lot of like in camera stuff.
It's the way it should be. Honestly, that's the best way to do it. More practical, the better. Like CGI should never be, unless there's no possible way to do it. You should never have a complete CGI shot. CGI should be used to enhance whatever practical thing you can do.
Agree.
Legit. So,
unless it's an animal, in which case then I'm very pro CGI use rather than using an animal.
That's fair. That's right.
Side note, important. Sparing you a trip to doesthedogdie.com. Boomer lives.
He lives. I thought he was going to die at one point. Like the first time I saw him, I remember seeing, I was like, oh my God, they're going to kill a dog. Oh my God, they're going to kill a dog. And I should have remembered that because back in those days, they didn't really do that very often. There were not a lot of dog deaths.
Well, I don't know, man. I was rewatching Jaws today. Want to know what happens to the dog?
He dies.
Bites the dust.
That's true. That's true.
Becomes a shark snack.
Michael does eat a dog at one point, so that's true.
You know what? I don't think he does.
You are justifying your love for the film.
No, I actually clocked it. I watched it like 3 times. I'm like, okay, so Michael's here at this point, and at that point, that's that far away from the Myers house, right? Because they had to drive there. So he wouldn't have had time to get from there to there to there to there to eat the dog if it's still warm when they came in at that time. I did a whole lot of math at one point. Anyway, it came down to I don't think, unless he can time travel, that Michael killed that dog. I think that dog just happened to be dead there.
But didn't he also kill the dog that was...
Oh, he did kill Lester in the sequel.
That sequel was there?
Oh, I'm sorry. He killed
I mean,
Lester. He did kill Lester.
Yes.
And then I think he does kill another dog in the second one.
Yeah.
Lester, I'm so sorry. I almost forgot about you, but I'm saying he didn't eat the dog.
Okay. It feels like you're wrong, but I appreciate your doing that.
If you try to draw a map of Haddonfield, okay, and pay close attention to the time, and then also be creepy like me and pull up an incognito window and look up how long does it take for a dead body to go cold. And if you
I really hope the authorities don't.
It doesn't work. He didn't have time, Your Honor. He didn't have time. They're just blaming him for a dog that happened to be dead.
I hope the authorities don't look at your browser history anytime soon.
Hey, it was an incognito window. I was incognito. I'm like a spy.
You're a very good spy. I would buy that. Actually, you know, I did write for. I should have told this earlier. What I mentioned, I guess it was a mistake to kill Harry Connick Jr. at least this early. I think they could have used him at the end instead of trying to connect the ship. They could have gotten out on the mothership, the 3 of them. Harry Connick Jr., Will Smith, and Jeff Goldblum, and snuck around the ship using some vents.
You know, it's interesting. Another deleted scene does have data say that there are 3 seats in the ship.
There you go. See? 3 scenes. That's what maybe that was supposed to be. That was the way it's supposed to be. Give me that.
I was watching something recently. I won't say what. But there is a lot of people traveling in vents in that movie.
Ooh. I don't know. Maybe I haven't seen anything lately that has a lot of vents in it. You have to tell me off air. What you want to tell me now?
I don't want to spoil anything.
I don't think you're spoiling anything by saying there's vents in there. Are you?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Can it? Is that a spoiler for anything?
I don't think so.
Okay, Mithrigan 2.0. Got some vent action.
Really? Okay. All right. I'll have to watch that at some point then.
Oh, it's so fun.
Okay.
I laughed so hard I cried. I don't think I've ever done that in a movie before.
All right. Anything else that we want to mention? Anything else we have brought up or not brought up at this point? Any other quotes you want to say?
Do you want to close out on President Thomas J. Whitmar's quote?
Should we do that again? That's what I should do. Any last quotes you want to say? Because I do have something. I did like the pick the holiday quick drinking. We said that.
I do want to note that we did have a 2001 A Space Odyssey reference with the Good Morning Dave. That's
yes, Good Morning Dave.
See, I like good movies.
Yes,
I've seen 2001 A Space Odyssey like 10 times.
On occasion, you do, yes. I also like I forgot the exact quote. I wish I wrote it down. The fat lady quote. I'm like, you keep mentioning fat ladies. You're obsessed with fat ladies. That one, Jeff Goldblum, good.
Must go faster. Must go faster.
Let's go faster. Oh no, you did not shoot that green shit at me. Will Smith being Will Smith.
I could have been at a barbecue. And what the hell is that smell?
That's and when he comes to the thing, oh, you need my pass? Here's my pass. Get him in. Let him through.
That'll get you in.
That'll absolutely get you in. All right. We have celebrated our Independence Day.
Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.